Hi, I hope you're doing well. Today we are starting a journey to make you a junior software developer. If you are already a junior, mid, or senior software developer, that's alright. You can maybe learn different things here, or maybe share some information to help each other grow. Right now, we are going to see how to install Visual Studio Code, .NET SDK, and Git. But this will be a series of videos taking you from a beginner level to a junior level. By the end of this series, you will be able to make your own APIs, your own applications, and maybe increase your curriculum to apply to a job. In this series, we will cover the foundation of programming, regardless of the programming language. We are also going to see MongoDB and PostgreSQL, which are non-relational and relational database. We are also going to see messenger brokers like RabbitMQ, and also microservices architecture with Docker and Docker containers, and we are going to see how to configure a Docker Compose file with a Docker file and configure the network and see how all of this communication will work. This will be a full stack series, so we are also going to cover HTML, CSS, and JS, just the basics, just an overview, and then we're getting into React frameworks like Next.js, Vite.js, and the Expo framework for mobile. So I think that's enough talking. Let's get to what you came for, which is installing everything that you need to make some sick coding. Okay, so we are starting off by installing an IDE, which is an integrated development environment. This will be the application that we will use to develop our projects. In our case, it will be Visual Studio Code, so we can just type Visual Studio Code here on your browser. Then you go to the first link, which is the official link for the Visual Studio Code. Here it will be a big button to download, but you can also come here in this download button in the navbar and choose your operational system. For me, it's Windows, so I can click on this big button right here. And now I can save it the executable file. Once you save the executable file, you can click here to execute the executable file. This will open up the Visual Studio installer, and here's the setup. There's the license agreement, which we all agree with everything. And here are some good options to keep on. They are here by default, but keep it that way. With this open with code, we can go to the File Explorer and open directories and files using this option like this. So here I have a folder that I can click with the right button and then show more options, and we can see that we can open with code. And this is for every directory and every file that we have, which is a pretty useful feature. You can also create a desktop icon, which I don't do, but if you want, you can totally click that. Next thing you need to do is hit install, but I already have it installed, so yeah. So after you install it, this is what it should look like, and you can keep it on. You just need to go back to the browser to install the two remaining things that we need. So the next thing we are going to install is the .NET SDK, and for that we just need to search .NET download. First link from Microsoft. And here it is. Here we have the .NET 9 and .NET 8. Usually you want to go for the recommended version, so you want to click here on the .NET 9. Once again, this will give you an executable file which you can save. And then instead of clicking here on the browser, you can open the File Explorer. Go to Downloads, and here it is. And here the .NET installer just give me a repair and uninstall option because I've already installed it, but for you it will probably be an install option and you can click that. So the .NET SDK, it's what we use to develop our applications, and everything that we are going to do will be based off .NET 9. So the last thing that we need is to install Git, and we are with everything installed, and then we're going to set it up to program in the next videos. To install Git, you can just, again, search Git download. Go to the first link. This is the official site, Git SCM. And then here you can choose your operational system. For me, it's Windows. And you can click on your Git for and Windows in your CPU architecture. Once again, you can hit save and execute the Git file executable. Here's the license, and you can just hit install and Git will be installed for you just like that. So we have already installed everything. We have the IDE, .NET SDK, we have Git. So now we can configure our IDE and get started to program. So let's go back to the Visual Studio. We can close this. Okay, so first thing that we need to know is that with Visual Studio Code, we can code in any language as long as we have the extensions installed. So to code with C#, we are going to create a profile for C# and then install the necessary extensions in that profile. So to open up the commands, you can hit Ctrl, Shift, and P, and you open up the command, or you can go to the search bar and then just give it a major sign. Now you can just write profile, and we want to go to new profile, which is up here. So I already have a C# profile and a React/React Native profile, but we are once again creating a C# profile. You can select an icon to identify it easier, but we are just going to keep the way it is, and we are going to click here on this check icon so we activate this profile. And now we can come to the extensions and install the necessary extensions to work with C# and .NET SDK. First thing that you want to search is C# dev kit. There it is. This is the official extension from Microsoft. This will install you everything that you need to work with the .NET SDK and C#. So you can just hit install, and now you can see that we have the .NET installed to the C# and C# dev kit, everything installed. So now we can close Visual Studio Code and we can try to see if everything is working by creating a new project with the .NET SDK. To do this, I'm just going to open up the PowerShell with WT. By the way, this is Flow Launcher, but you can also go to the Windows and this Windows button on the keyboard and type WT and open up the Windows PowerShell. Now you can select a folder of your choice. The command to access a folder is cd, and then you put the path to the folder that you want. The reason I do this by the command line, I just want to get more familiar with the command line. It is often used in a server, so it's good to know the commands that you use. So now I am in the folder that I wanted. Now I'm gonna create a directory with mkdir, which stands for make directory, and then you give it a name. I'm just gonna give it as console test because we're going to make a console project. So we can just hit enter and we made the directory. Now we can go inside it. And now we are going to use the .NET CLI. CLI stands for Command Line Interface, which is what we will use through the whole series. To work with .NET, we are going to use the CLI. You can also install Visual Studio Community. It makes it easier. You can create the projects through there. You can also create the projects and do things through Visual Studio Code. I just want to get more familiar with the CLI. It's a good thing to know how to use the PowerShell or the CMD, because when you are working with a server, most often you won't have a GUI, a graphical user interface. So it's good to know the comments. So we can just give it a .NET -age for help. And it will show us all the comments and every option that we have. So we can do a .NET SDK check. And this will check the SDKs that we have installed in our computer. I have the 8 and the 9 and the .NET Core and runtime, and everything is set up as it should be. Now to create the project, we can do a .NET new list, and this will list us every type of project that we can create with .NET. So we can make mobile applications with MAUI, we can make APIs, we can make Blazor projects, MVC projects, and we can also make a console app, which is what we are going to do. So you can just do a .NET new console, and you can hit enter, and this command will create a console application within the folder that you are in. But you could also do a -o and then the folder that you want, so test or something, and this would create a test folder with the project in it. But we already created the folder, so we don't need this, and just hit enter. Okay, so it seems to be fine, so we can just clean it. And another cool thing about Visual Studio Code, you can just give it a code dot, and this will open Visual Studio Code in the folder that you are in the PowerShell. So, okay, there we go, and close this. So now another thing that I don't really like is it's how Visual Studio Code displays folders and files. And we also have extensions to change the icons, and we have extensions to change the theme. So you can just come here to the extensions tab and look for symbols. Symbols is just a minimalistic icon theme for VS Code, so you can search it yourself for other options if you'd like, but I like this one, and if you like it too, so you can install it. Now we just select it here, and if we come back, there it is. The folders are with a different icon, and the CS project, the solution, so everything is nice. Now, when we execute a .NET application, all of the time the program file will be the entry point to execute the application. So what's inside here, it's what will be executed. Right here we have a console write line, which will literally write a line with the message that we passed, or in this case the message that .NET created, hello world. And when we execute it on the Windows PowerShell, you will see that this message should pop up. Within this project, we also have the bin and the object folder, which are created by default by .NET. And we also have the CS project, which is the configuration of our project. We can see that this project will generate an executable, and the target framework is .NET 9. And we also have nullable variables available or enabled, and we'll see all of that later in the series, so make sure to stick around. We also have the .NET solution. The .NET solution can contain many projects, many CS projects. When we open a solution, we open all of those projects and we can manage all of them. So last thing that we need to do is test if it is working, so we can go back to the Windows PowerShell and we can give it a .NET run, which is the command to run the application. So there we go, we have the hello world, and we can see that everything is working as it should be. We are going to see Git in the next videos, but we have it already installed We are also going to talk more about .NET framework, C# in the next video. And this is just the start. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. If anything went wrong, I will try to help you. And if you do it in a different way, also let me know. If you use a Visual Studio Community or another IDE, or maybe if you want to know how to use another IDE, also let me know. And if you're a beginner, if you're just starting learning, make sure to stick around to see the next videos and become a journal software developer. So thank you very much, and see you in the next one.